Welcome to my channel. Do you ever feel like you understand English but still can't speak it confidently? You study, you listen, you watch videos, but when it's time to speak, your mind goes blank. If that's you, don't worry. In this video, you'll learn how to really learn English every single day in small, powerful ways that change everything. So stay with me till the end and tell me in the comments. Do you face this problem too? Chapter 1. The day I realized I wasn't learning, I was just studying. When I first started learning English, I thought studying was the same as learning. I spent hours writing new words in my notebook. I memorized grammar rules. I read lessons again and again. I filled pages with exercises, but when it was time to speak, I couldn't say anything. My brain felt full, but my mouth was empty. I knew the rules, but I couldn't use them. I felt like I was collecting English, not living it. Every day, I told myself, I'm learning. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. I could read English and understand a few sentences, but real people spoke too fast. Their words ran together like water, and I couldn't catch them. I sat in silence, smiling and nodding, pretending I understood. Inside, I felt small. I was doing everything the teacher said, yet I was not improving. That hurt the most. One night, I sat with my notebook open, tired and frustrated. I looked at all the words I had written, hundreds of them. But none of those words came to my tongue when I tried to speak. I asked myself, why? What's missing? That night changed everything. I realized I wasn't learning English for life. I was only preparing for tests. I was studying, not learning. Learning means using English every day. It means hearing it, feeling it, speaking it, not just reading it. That night, I promised myself something. From tomorrow, I will not just study English, I will live it. The next morning, I tried something new. I spoke to myself while brushing my teeth. Good morning, I said softly. My voice felt strange at first, but it was a start. I described what I was doing. I am brushing my teeth. The water is cold. I am smiling. It felt funny, but also powerful. I was finally using English. Then I decided to listen, not to lessons, but to real English. Songs, movies, short videos. I didn't understand everything, but I focused on the sounds, on the rhythm of speech. Slowly, I began to feel the language instead of fighting it. English was no longer a subject, it was becoming a part of my daily world. I started to see small changes. One day, I understood a line from a movie without subtitles. Another day, I replied to someone in English, just one sentence, but it was mine. It made me smile all day. That's when I realized English grows inside you only when you touch it every day. At school, my friends thought I was crazy because I talked to myself in English. But I didn't care. Every small moment was practice, at home, on the way to school, before sleeping. I was training my brain to think in English. Soon, I stopped feeling afraid. The fear of speaking was still there, but smaller now. I wasn't perfect, but I was free. I wasn't waiting for the right time or big improvement. I was doing it daily. That's how learning began to feel natural. Sometimes I failed. Some days I didn't study at all. But I learned something important. Missing one day doesn't mean you lose everything. What matters is coming back the next day. That's how habits grow. One small effort, again and again. I began to understand that real learning is not about big changes in one day, it's about small changes every day. Like drops of water shaping a rock, your small English moments shape your fluency. That's when my journey truly started. I didn't need expensive courses or perfect grammar. I just needed one thing: daily connection with English. So if you feel stuck right now, don't worry. Maybe you're just studying like I was. But now you know, the real secret is to make English your daily friend, not your school subject. Chapter 2: The Power of Small Daily Steps. When I decided to learn English every day, I thought I had to study for hours to improve. I believed that big progress needed big effort. But I was wrong. The truth is, small daily steps are more powerful than long, stressful study sessions once a week. Learning a language is like planting a seed. You don't grow a tree by pouring a bucket of water once a month. You help it grow by giving it a little water every single day. That's how English grows too, with small daily care. At first, I didn't believe this idea. I thought, how can 5 minutes of English make a difference? But I was tired of heavy study plans that I couldn't follow. So I tried something new. I decided to practice for just 10 minutes every day. One short English moment, that was my new rule. I didn't force myself to do too much. I just promised not to skip a day. The first week was simple. I watched a short video and repeated the sentences out loud. I learned one new word each day and used it in a sentence. Sometimes, I only practiced speaking to myself in front of a mirror. It felt small, but every day, I was touching English. And slowly, something changed. I started to feel closer to the language. The words didn't feel strange anymore. They began to sound like mine. My mouth got used to moving in English. My brain started to recognize patterns. Even on days when I was busy or tired, I found one small moment, while walking, eating, or waiting for something to speak or listen in English. I realized that consistency matters more than perfection. Many learners make the same mistake I made. They study for hours one day, then stop for a week. They try to learn everything at once. But the brain doesn't like pressure, it loves patterns. When you show up daily, your brain starts trusting the process. It begins to store English not just as information, but as habit. One evening, I listened to the same short podcast for 3 days in a row. On the third day, I noticed I could understand more without reading the script. That small moment made me so happy. I smiled and said to myself, it's working. That's when I learned something powerful. Improvement doesn't always shout. Sometimes, it whispers. You just need to listen closely. The small daily steps gave me confidence. They made English feel easier, lighter, friendlier. I no longer felt like I was climbing a mountain. I was walking on a simple path, one step a day, and every step, no matter how small, was taking me closer to fluency. I remember one morning when I woke up late and didn't have time to study. I felt guilty, but then I whispered just one English sentence. Today will be a great day. That single line kept my promise alive. I still practiced. That's the power of daily contact. Even one sentence keeps your mind connected to English. After some weeks, I realized that English wasn't something I had to force anymore. It became part of my day, like brushing my teeth or checking my phone. When learning becomes part of your routine, you no longer fight with it. You flow with it. That's what daily steps do. They remove the pressure and replace it with progress. Sometimes I met people who said, I want to speak fluent English fast. They waited for the perfect day to start. But there's no perfect day. There's only today. And if you use today, even for 5 minutes, it changes your tomorrow. Because fluency isn't built in a moment, it's built in moments repeated every day. Your small steps matter. Reading one paragraph, watching one short video, saying one new sentence out loud, writing one line in your English journal, listening to one conversation. These things may look tiny, but they build your future voice. Every small effort becomes a brick in your wall of fluency. I learned that small steps don't just teach English, they teach discipline, patience, and confidence. Every time you show up, you prove to yourself that you can. That belief becomes your strength. So if you think you don't have time, remember this. Even one small English habit can change your life. The key is not time, the key is consistency. When you keep going every day, even for a few minutes, English becomes your daily friend, always growing quietly with you. Chapter 3. My Morning English Ritual. When I started learning English every day, I realized mornings were the most powerful time of my day. The world was quiet. My mind was fresh. There were no distractions, no noise, no phone calls. Just me and my thoughts. That's when I decided, if I can start my morning with English, I can train my brain to think in English all day. That's how my morning English ritual began. At first, it was very simple. I didn't have a plan or a book. I only had one goal: to speak English before speaking my native language. The first words of my day had to be English words. So when I woke up, instead of saying, "Good morning," in my own language, I said it in English. I looked in the mirror and said, "Good morning, Adam. How are you today?" It felt strange in the beginning. My voice sounded shy, almost fake, but slowly, it started to feel real. I made a small rule for myself: no silence in the morning. Even if I didn't know what to say, I had to talk to myself, to my mirror, to my toothbrush, even to my coffee. "You smell good today," I told my cup. It made me smile. That small joke kept me speaking. That's how English became a part of my morning energy. Then I started to add small habits. While brushing my teeth, I said the things I would do next. I will wash my face. I will take a shower. I will get dressed. They were simple sentences, but they made me think and speak in English naturally. I didn't need to study grammar, I was using it. My bathroom became my classroom. My reflection became my teacher. After a few days, I noticed something beautiful. I wasn't just repeating words anymore. I was feeling them. The water is cold. The sun is bright. I feel happy today. These were not textbook lines. These were my real emotions in real English. My mornings started to feel alive. When I made breakfast, I continued speaking. I am making tea. I like the smell. The bread is hot. Each moment became a practice moment. I wasn't trying to be perfect. I was trying to be consistent. I learned that your brain remembers better when your body moves. So I spoke while doing things. The movement helped me remember faster. After breakfast, I listened to a short English podcast or a motivational speech. Not for studying, just for the feeling of English in my ears. Sometimes I understood only half of it, sometimes less. But I kept listening. The goal wasn't understanding every word. The goal was making my ears comfortable with the sound of English. And slowly, it worked. I began to recognize words and sentences that once sounded like noise. Then I wrote 1 or 2 sentences in my English journal, just a small reflection. I feel sleepy. Today I want to learn something new. I will not give up. Writing helped me see my thoughts in English. It was like talking to myself on paper. It gave me focus. Some mornings, I didn't have much time. On those days, I only said one line. But I never skipped it. That's the secret. Don't skip the ritual, even when it's short. English is like a friend. If you meet that friend every morning, your friendship grows stronger. If you ignore it for weeks, it starts to fade. I realized my mornings had become my safe space. No one judged me there. No one laughed at my mistakes. I could experiment, play, and express myself freely. I learned to start my day with confidence. When I left my room, I already felt proud because I had done something good for myself. After a few months, I noticed a real change. My sentences became smoother. I didn't translate in my head anymore. I just spoke. My day felt lighter. English was no longer a task, it was a habit. My morning ritual became my silent promise to improve, to grow, to never stop learning. So if you want to change your English, start tomorrow morning. Don't wait for the perfect time. When you wake up, say something in English. Anything. I am awake. I am grateful. I am learning. That small voice is the beginning of your fluency. Your morning energy shapes your whole day. If your first thought is in English, your day will follow that rhythm. Speak to the mirror, speak to your tea, speak to your dreams. Just speak. Because when you speak English in the morning, you wake up your confidence too. Chapter 4. Listening. The secret to natural English. When I was a beginner, I thought speaking was the most important part of English. I believed that if I could talk, I was fluent. But later, I learned something powerful. Real fluency starts with listening. Listening is not just hearing words, it's training your brain to feel the language. The more you listen, the more your mind learns without effort. It's like how children learn to speak. They listen for months before they say their first word. They don't study grammar, they absorb patterns. That's how natural English is built. At first, listening was hard for me. When people spoke English, all I heard was a blur of sounds. It felt like they were speaking too fast. I couldn't tell where one word ended and the next began. I thought my ears were weak. But the truth was, my ears weren't trained yet. English has its own rhythm, music, and tone, and I had to tune my brain to it. So I started with simple listening. I listened to short English videos every morning and night. I didn't focus on understanding everything. I just listened like a child listens to the world. I let my ears get used to the sound. I listened while walking, while eating, while cleaning. English became the background music of my life. I didn't realize it then, but this daily exposure was rewiring my brain. One day, something magical happened. I was watching a short cartoon, and suddenly, I understood a line without reading the subtitles. It felt like a spark inside my mind. I didn't study that sentence. My ears had learned it naturally. That moment gave me confidence. I realized listening teaches more than lessons ever could. It teaches pronunciation, tone, emotion, and real-life rhythm. I started using a simple rule: listen, pause, repeat. I listened to one sentence, paused it, and repeated it aloud. I tried to copy not just the words, but the voice, the speed, the feeling. This small exercise made my pronunciation sharper and my speaking smoother. Listening became my secret teacher, correcting me silently every day. Music also became part of my learning. English songs helped me remember words without trying. I didn't understand every lyric, but I sang along. I felt the rhythm of the words. Over time, I started catching meanings. Music taught me that learning can be joyful. You don't always need a notebook sometimes. Your favorite song is your best classroom. Movies and short stories helped me too. At first, I watched with subtitles. Then, I watched again without them. The second time, my ears recognized more words. I didn't force it, I let the process happen naturally. Every time I listened, my brain got stronger. I realized that listening builds your speaking muscle quietly, without pressure. Listening also improved my confidence. Before, when someone spoke to me, I panicked. I tried to translate every word in my head, and I got lost. But when I listened daily, I started understanding faster. I didn't need to translate anymore. My brain responded in English. It was like unlocking a door inside my head. Sometimes, I didn't understand full sentences, but I caught the feeling, and that was enough. Understanding is not about every word, if at ease. It's about the message. Real communication lives in the tone, emotion, and rhythm of the voice. Listening teaches you that. The more I listened, the more I started thinking in English. My inner voice changed. My thoughts began to form in short English phrases. I didn't plan it, it happened naturally. Listening is like watering a plant you can't see growing yet. But one day, you wake up and realize it's already grown. So now, I tell every learner, if you want to speak well, listen more. Listen before you sleep. Listen while you walk. Listen when you have nothing else to do. Your brain learns quietly in the background. Every word you hear becomes a small piece of your fluency. Don't wait for the perfect time or the perfect lesson. Start listening today. Even 5 minutes a day will change your English forever. Because listening doesn't just teach you words, it teaches you the feeling of English. And once you feel the language, speaking becomes natural. Chapter 5. Speak, even when you're alone. For a long time, I was afraid to speak English. I understood words in my mind, but they never came out of my mouth. I was scared of saying something wrong. I was scared people would laugh, so I stayed quiet. I waited for the right time to speak, but that time never came. One day, I realized that waiting for others was my biggest mistake. If no one was around to talk to me, I could still talk to myself. That day, everything changed. The first time I spoke alone, I felt silly. I looked in the mirror and said, "Hi, how are you?" My voice sounded strange, but at least it was mine. I smiled. It felt like I had finally given English a home inside me. I decided that if I couldn't find people to speak with, I would still speak, to my mirror, to my phone, to the walls, to the world around me. At first, I only said short sentences. I am brushing my teeth. I am making tea. The weather is nice today. But every sentence was a victory. I was breaking the silence. I was teaching my mouth to move. My tongue was learning the shapes of English words. My fear started to fade. I made a new rule for myself. Every day, I would speak English for at least 5 minutes, no matter what. I didn't care if anyone heard me or not. My goal was not perfection. My goal was practice. When you speak alone, you are not afraid of being judged. You can make mistakes freely. That freedom helps your confidence grow faster than anything else. Soon, I began to enjoy it. Talking to myself became my favorite part of the day. I described everything I did. I'm cooking rice. I'm washing my clothes. I'm going for a walk. I started asking myself questions too. What will I eat today? What did I learn yesterday? What am I grateful for? These small conversations trained my brain to think in English. The mirror became my best teacher. It didn't correct me, but it helped me see my confidence. Every morning, I stood in front of it and practiced real conversations. I pretended to talk to a friend, to a shopkeeper, to a teacher. I smiled, moved my hands, and tried to sound natural. With time, it felt real. I wasn't acting anymore. I was becoming a speaker. One day, I recorded my voice. At first, I didn't like how it sounded, but then I listened carefully and noticed something. I was improving. My pronunciation was better than last month. My sentences were smoother. Listening to my own voice gave me courage. It showed me that progress is invisible until you record it. Sometimes I even talk to objects. I talk to my phone, to my books, to my bag. "You're heavy today," I told my school bag once. I laughed, but it worked. I was practicing without pressure. Speaking to objects helped me imagine real conversations. My brain couldn't tell the difference. It was learning through imagination. There were days when I felt lazy or embarrassed. I thought, what's the point of talking to myself? But then I remembered, every speaker starts alone. Every athlete trains before the crowd comes. You don't need an audience to improve, you need discipline. And so, I spoke again. Over time, I stopped thinking, I'm talking to myself. I started thinking, I'm practicing my English. That simple shift changed my mindset completely. I wasn't alone anymore, I was building my future fluency. One of the most powerful moments came when I finally spoke to a real person in English, and my words came out naturally. I didn't freeze, I didn't translate, I just spoke. That moment was born from hundreds of small, private moments when I spoke alone. Every silent practice had prepared me for that day. So if you don't have anyone to talk to, don't wait. You already have the best speaking partner in the world, yourself. Your mouth needs practice, not permission. Speak to your reflection, to your phone, to your shadow. Speak when no one listens. Speak because your future self is learning through your voice today. Remember this: confidence doesn't come from speaking perfectly. It comes from speaking repeatedly. Every time you speak alone, your fear becomes smaller and your fluency becomes stronger. Chapter 6. Make English your friend, not your subject. For most of my school life, English was just a subject, something I had to pass, not something I could love. I memorized answers for exams, learned grammar rules that I never used, and worried more about being correct than being confident. I studied because I had to, not because I wanted to. But one day, I realized something powerful. You can't learn a language like a rule book. You have to live it. You have to make it your friend. When I started treating English like a subject, it felt heavy. I was afraid to make mistakes. Every sentence felt like a test. But when I started treating English like a friend, it became fun. I talked to it, laughed with it, and made it part of my world. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And that's when my English started to grow, not because I studied more, but because I connected more. I remember one morning when I decided to change my routine. Instead of opening my grammar book, I opened my heart to English. I looked around and said, "Good morning, English. Let's spend the day together." It felt silly, but it worked. I began to see English everywhere, on signs, in songs, in conversations. It wasn't trapped in a classroom anymore, it was walking beside me. Every day, I spoke to English like it was my best friend. When I felt happy, I said, "I'm so happy today." When I was tired, I said, "I need a break." When I made a mistake, I smiled and said, "You caught me again, English laha." I turned my fear into friendship. That changed everything. I stopped asking, "Is this correct?" and started asking, "Does this feel right?" I didn't just memorize, I played. I watched funny videos, repeated movie lines, and made silly sentences that made me laugh. My English friend didn't judge me, it just listened. It taught me that learning is not about perfection, it's about connection. The biggest change happened inside my mind. Before, I waited for motivation. I waited for the right time to practice. But when English became my friend, I didn't need motivation. I had a relationship. You don't wait to talk to your best friend, you want to talk. That's how I felt with English. It was no longer something outside of me, it was part of who I was becoming. There were days when I didn't feel like studying. I felt tired, bored, or lazy. But even on those days, I said a few words to my friend. Hey, I'm still here. That's how we stayed connected. And because of that, I never lost progress. Even on my worst days, I was still learning something small. I began to understand that fluency doesn't come from fear, it comes from friendship. The more relaxed you feel with English, the faster you learn. When you stop trying to be perfect, your mind opens up. You start learning naturally, just like children do. One day, I realized I was thinking in English without trying. I was walking down the street and my thoughts came in English. Short, simple sentences, but still English. That moment was magic. It showed me that English was no longer something I was learning, it was someone I knew. When you make English your friend, you start caring for it. You listen to it. You talk to it. You spend time with it. You don't get angry when it's difficult. You understand it takes time. Just like any friendship, it grows slowly, with care and patience. I started to see English as a person, kind, funny, patient, and full of surprises. It had new stories to tell me every day. Sometimes we fought, sometimes we laughed, but we never gave up on each other. That's the beauty of learning when it comes from love, not fear. You stop saying, I have to practice, and start saying, I want to practice. You stop seeing mistakes as failures, and start seeing them as conversations. So from today, don't treat English like a school subject that you want to pass. Treat it like a friend that you want to know better. Speak to it, listen to it, and spend time with it every day. Smile when you talk to it. Enjoy the small moments, because the more you love English, the more English will love you back. Chapter 7: How to Stay Consistent Every Day. When I first began learning English every day, I was full of motivation. I wanted to practice all the time. I made plans, big goals, and colorful schedules. But after a few weeks, I started to feel tired. Some days I didn't feel like studying. Some days, I told myself, I'll do it tomorrow. And soon, tomorrow became next week. My progress slowed, and I started to feel disappointed. That's when I learned an important truth. Consistency is not about being perfect, it's about showing up, even when you don't feel like it. At first, I thought I had to be strong all the time. I thought successful learners never missed a day. But that's not true. Real learners are not perfect, they are persistent. They keep going even when their energy is low. They understand that one small effort is better than doing nothing. So I changed my mindset. Instead of forcing myself to do a lot, I promised myself to do a little, but every day. One sentence, one word, one short video. That's all I needed. Even on my busiest days, I could do something small. And that small action kept the fire alive. I learned that progress is not made by doing more, it's made by not quitting. Some mornings, I felt lazy. My brain said, you don't have time today. But I answered, I only need 5 minutes. I spoke one sentence in English while brushing my teeth. I listened to one short audio while getting dressed. I wrote one line in my journal before bed. That was enough. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. and something is always better than nothing. I started to realize that consistency is not a rule, it's a relationship. When you spend time with English daily, even for a few minutes, your connection grows stronger. You don't need to force it, it becomes part of your life. Just like drinking water or eating breakfast, English becomes a habit your brain expects. One thing that helped me stay consistent was tracking my small wins. I made a simple calendar on my wall. Every day I practiced, I marked a small X. The more marks I saw, the more proud I felt. I didn't want to break the chain. That visual reminder kept me motivated. Sometimes I failed. I skipped a day or two, but I didn't quit. I told myself, you missed yesterday, but you can start again today. That mindset saved me. Many learners stop completely when they miss a few days. But the secret is this: you don't have to start over. You just continue from where you left off. I also learned that consistency grows when you make learning enjoyable. I stopped doing boring exercises and started doing things I loved: watching movies, reading stories, listening to songs, talking to myself. When you enjoy what you do, it's easier to keep going. Another secret was variety. I didn't repeat the same routine every day. One day, I focused on listening. The next, I spoke out loud. Another day, I watched something funny in English. This kept my learning fresh and exciting. It felt like I was exploring, not just studying. There were days when I was tired from school or work. On those days, I reminded myself of my why. I remembered why I started learning English: because I wanted to understand the world, to we me, because I wanted to speak freely, because I wanted to grow. Thinking about my reason gave me energy again. And here's something I learned the hard way: motivation will not always be there. It comes and goes like the wind, but habits stay. If you train your mind to learn every day, even when you're not in the mood, it becomes automatic. You won't need to push yourself anymore. You'll just do it naturally. I also forgave myself more. When I made mistakes, I didn't get angry. When I felt slow, I didn't compare myself to others. I told myself, it's okay. I'm learning. I'm growing. That kindness helped me continue. Consistency needs patience, not punishment. Over time, I realized something beautiful. The more consistent I became, the less I feared English. The language that once scared me now felt like part of my daily life. I didn't need a perfect plan. I only needed the courage to keep showing up, one day at a time. So if you feel stuck or tired right now, take a deep breath. You don't need to do everything today. Just do something. Speak one sentence. Read one page. Listen for 5 minutes. That small effort will build your tomorrow. Because success doesn't belong to the fastest, it belongs to the most consistent. And every time you show up, no matter how small your effort, you're proving something powerful. You're not giving up. Chapter 8: Real Life Practice. The Game Changer. After months of learning English at home, talking to myself, listening to songs, writing small notes, I felt a little more confident. But there was one big challenge I hadn't faced yet: speaking to real people. The idea scared me. What if they didn't understand me? What if I made mistakes? What if I forgot everything I knew? My heart would start racing every time I imagined it. But deep down, I knew that real-life practice was the key. If I wanted to speak naturally, I had to use English outside my safe space. The first time I tried, I was in a small shop. I wanted to ask the price of something, but I hesitated. I kept repeating the sentence in my mind. How much is this? My hands were sweating. My heart was loud. But finally, I said it quietly, nervously. How much is this? The shopkeeper smiled and answered in English. I understood him. That one small exchange made me feel like I had climbed a mountain. I couldn't stop smiling for the rest of the day. That day taught me something important. Real practice doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be real. When you speak English in real life, even one line, it teaches you more than hours of studying. You learn how people actually talk, not how books talk. You hear real pronunciation, natural speed, and expressions that never appear in grammar lessons. It's not about knowing everything, it's about using what you already know. After that, I started to look for small chances to use English. When I went to a cafe, I ordered in English. When I met someone online, I greeted them in English. When I sent a message to a friend, I tried to write it in English. These moments were small, but they were powerful. Each one built a layer of confidence. Real-life practice also helped me understand that mistakes are not failures. They are teachers. Once I said, "I am interesting," when I meant, "I am interested." The person laughed kindly and corrected me. Instead of feeling embarrassed, I laughed too. I learned something I would never forget. That's what real practice does. It teaches through experience, not fear. At home, I continued to prepare for real-life moments. I practiced small conversations. "Hello, how are you? Can you help me? Where's the bus stop?" I stood in front of the mirror and acted them out like a scene from a movie. Then, when those moments happened in real life, I was ready. My words came out naturally. One day, I joined an English-speaking club in my city. I remember walking in for the first time, feeling nervous but excited. Everyone there was learning just like me. We played games, told stories, and laughed at our mistakes together. That club became my safe practice zone. I realized that speaking English with others doesn't have to be scary, it can be fun. Online practice helped too. I joined small chat groups where learners from different countries talked in English. Sometimes I made mistakes. Sometimes I didn't understand everything. But every message helped me grow. Every conversation felt like a mini classroom without walls. The more I practiced, the more natural it felt. My tongue became comfortable with English words. My fear turned into curiosity. Instead of thinking, "What if I say it wrong?" I started thinking, "What can I say next?" That small change in mindset made all the difference. Real-life English also taught me one beautiful truth. People don't expect you to be perfect. They just want to understand you. Most people are kind. When they see you trying, they help. And every time they respond, your confidence doubles. I learned to listen carefully when others spoke. I didn't rush to answer. I focused on understanding, and then replied with simple sentences. Communication is not about using big words, it's about connecting. Once I understood that, speaking became easier. Real practice made English a living language for me. It wasn't in books anymore. It was in people, in places, in moments. Every day became a chance to learn something new. The world became my classroom, and I became my own teacher. So if you want to grow faster, start using your English in real life. Don't wait until you feel ready. You'll never feel completely ready. Just start, even if your voice shakes, even if your grammar isn't perfect. Say hello to someone, order something in English, join an online conversation, talk to your teacher, talk to your friends. Because every real conversation is a lesson, and every mistake is a step toward fluency. The more you use English in real life, the more it becomes your real life. Chapter 9: How Learning English Every Day Changed My Life. When I look back at the beginning of my English journey, I see a completely different person. I was shy, unsure, and scared to speak. I used to sit quietly in class, afraid to make mistakes. I thought English was only for smart people, for confident people, not for someone like me. But now, after learning English every day, not just studying, but living it, I understand something powerful. English didn't just change the way I speak, it changed the way I see myself. Learning English every day taught me patience. It showed me that big results come from small, daily actions. I stopped chasing fast success. I stopped comparing myself to others. I learned that even one small English sentence, spoken with courage, can be a victory. I began to believe in myself again. Every time I practiced, every time I failed, every time I tried again, I became stronger, not just in English, but in life. I remember the moment I first realized how much I had changed. I was talking to someone in English, and I didn't even think before speaking. My words just flowed. It felt natural. When the conversation ended, I smiled to myself. I wasn't afraid anymore. The language that once made me nervous was now my comfort zone. I felt proud, not because I was perfect, but because I didn't give up. English became more than a skill, it became my companion. It was with me in the morning when I spoke to myself in the mirror. It was with me at night when I listened to soft English music before sleeping. It was there in my thoughts, in my dreams, in my hopes. It gave me confidence in school, at work, and with friends. I could understand movies, books, and songs that once felt far away from me. It was like unlocking a new world. But something even deeper happened. Learning English every day taught me how to learn anything. It showed me that improvement comes from persistence, not talent. If I could do this, if I could take a language that once scared me and make it my strength, then I could do anything I wanted. That realization changed my life. There were still moments when I made mistakes, when I forgot words, when I felt stuck, but I didn't see those moments as failures anymore. I saw them as signs that I was learning. Mistakes became my teachers. Fear became my motivation. Every challenge became proof that I was still moving forward. I began to notice how English had changed the way I communicated. I could express my emotions better. I could share my thoughts clearly. I could connect with people from different countries. English gave me more than words. It gave me connection. I made friends from around the world. I learned about new cultures, ideas, and ways of thinking. My world became bigger and brighter. And you know what else changed? My confidence. I started believing in my own voice. Before, I used to hide behind silence, but now I speak. Not just in English, in life. Learning English gave me the courage to try, to fail, and to rise again. It taught me that progress is not about speed, it's about consistency. I learned to enjoy the journey. Every day of practice became a small gift to myself. Whether I was speaking to my mirror, Soapy, writing one line in my journal, or listening to a podcast while walking. Each moment mattered. English became a mirror that showed me who I could become if I never gave up. Now, when I meet new learners who say, "I can't do it," I tell them, "You can. I was like you," because it's true. If you give English a place in your daily life, it will give you more than you can imagine. It will change your confidence, your thoughts, your world. So if you're watching this right now, I want you to remember this. You don't need perfect grammar to start. You don't need to know every word. You just need one thing: the courage to begin again every day. Speak a little, listen a little, write a little, feel a little. Let English become your daily habit, your daily friend, your daily strength. Because learning English every day is not only about language, it's about becoming the best version of yourself. And if you stay on this path, one day you'll look back and smile, just like I do now, and say, "I didn't just learn English, I changed my life." If this story inspired you, take one small step today. Speak one sentence in English. Say it out loud right now. That's how it begins. And if you're ready to grow with me, don't forget to subscribe to this channel tomorrow. Like this video, and tell me in the comments, what's one small thing you'll do in English today? Your journey starts not tomorrow, not someday, but today. Keep going, keep learning. Your future speaks English.